Guys, Nike has been canceled at the Olympic Games. Look at that, canceled. So in today's video, I'm going to discuss the ad that canceled Nike at the Olympic Games. I'm also going to give you tips on how you can become a millionaire. So let's get started. So honey, can you play the ad?
Am I a bad person? Tell me, am I? I'm single-minded. I'm deceptive. I'm obsessive. I'm selfish. Does that make me a bad person? Am I a bad person? Am I? I have no empathy. I don't respect you. I'm never satisfied. I have an obsession with power. I'm irrational. I have zero remorse. I have no sense of compassion. I'm delusional. I'm maniacal. You think I'm a bad person? Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. Am I? I think I'm better than everyone else. I want to take what's yours and never give it back. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. Am I a bad person? Tell me. Am I? Does that make me a bad person? Tell me, does it?
Great ad, huh? Okay, so let's get into the controversy. Sorry, Nike, this is not what the Olympics are about. So, Joe Foley, are you just crazy? Let's find out. So, in the meantime, don't forget, Xiaomao says to like and subscribe. So anyway, there are traits that are shared between any winner, whether this is athletics, business, or investing. And to find out the facts, I went to ChatGPT like everybody else. So I asked ChatGPT, what do they say? They say, yes, high-performing athletes and investors often share traits like discipline, resilience, focus, and a strategic mindset. Both groups need to set goals, manage risks, and stay motivated under pressure. Are you okay? Yada yada yada. So ChatGPT agrees with us, not Foley. Okay, so what does Foley have to say? He says Paris 2024 has begun with a spectacular celebration of the traditional Olympic values of excellence, respect, and friendship, and selfishness. Irrationality and deception, according to Nike. One of the biggest sponsors of teams at the Olympic Games has launched a new advertisement in time for the event, and it's frankly delusional, according to him. This guy's an idiot, by the way. Instead of celebrating good sportsmanship and teamwork, the new Nike ad depicts athletes as egotistical maniacs. And while the Willem Dafoe narrated piece, I call him the Green Goblin, succeeds in its objective of grabbing attention, it's not exactly making people warm to the brand. So the thing is, there's this quote that says, any publicity is good publicity. I can't talk. Okay, so yeah, and he continues, Nike has been struggling in recent years, faced with an influx of newer sports brands doing fresh things. The new Nike advertisement aims to remind us that it still has A-list clout by featuring an incredible last cast of sports greats, from Kobe Bryant and LeBron James to Kylian Mbappe, Serena Williams, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Aja Wilson. But I have to wonder if they can all relate to the sentiment of the ad. Guess what? They can. And in which a cackling athlete repeatedly asks, "Am I a bad person?" Play like you mean it, because if you don't want to win, congrats, you've already lost. Nike wrote in the caption to the video on YouTube, but its violent view of sporting ambition is becoming pounded by the public. Nike needs to see a therapist, one person wrote in the comments. Was that one of you? For a start, Dafoe is doing his Green Goblin voice, which immediately makes the world's greatest athletes sound like comic supervillains. Then comes the glorification of the worst side of competitive sports, from deception to delusions of grandeur. Okay, he continues. Sure, Nike likes to trigger debate. It's part of its identity to say things that some people may not agree with. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, Sonia White, let's get into it. What traits do you need to be successful? Oh, by the way, I think it's a great ad, and it really dictates. It's true. These are traits that you need. These are traits that I need. These are traits that businessmen need, CEOs need, investors need. Everybody, athletes, everybody that wants to be successful needs these traits. Now, what are these traits? How can you be successful? What will allow you to become a millionaire? What will allow you to become a billionaire? Let's find out. These are the traits that you need to become a billionaire. Okay, so yeah, 20 distinguishing personality traits of high-performing athletes. But these are traits that for everybody. And these are traits that I try to adhere to. Okay, so trait number 1 is self-confidence. Self-confidence isn't just a phrase for cheesy motivational posters. For high-performing athletes, it's an entire way of life. The best athletes are self-confident by nature. They believe they can make it to the top step of the podium, even if that self-confidence is sometimes propped up by blood, sweat, tears, and a ton of sacrifice. Okay, so let me ask you, who exudes self-confidence? Actually, you may not have guessed it, but Arnold Schwarzenegger. So yeah, this is actually Arnold during his very first debut film. This is a little documentary film that they did on Arnold and the Olympics. All right, not the Olympics, the bodybuilding competition, Mr. Olympia. So before, yeah, can you see the irony here? Arnold Schwarzenegger is wearing a shirt that says Arnold is numero uno. And he believes that to the T, and he is number one. He's the 7-time number one Olympic, sorry, not Olympic, but bodybuilding champion. And he made it in movies. He became governor. He became everybody's dream, essentially. He lived the American dream, even though he wasn't even born an American. Because he has these traits. He has extreme confidence in himself. He invests in himself. And that's what you got to do, is you got to invest in yourself. You got to research, read, have a constant devotion. Okay, so what's the second one? Who else exudes self-confidence? Michael Jordan. When the game is on the line, the end of the fourth quarter, and say they're trailing by 3, and they have the ball. What does Jordan say to the coach? He says, "Coach, give me the ball." He knows that he will take the shot that will determine the game because he is confident that he will make that shot. So he says, "Coach, give me the ball." This is what all the best NBA players do. From Kobe Bryant to LeBron James to Michael Jordan, all the best players say, "Coach, give me the ball." And you got to get the ball and you got to perform. So what is the second one? The second one is a strong sense of motivation. It takes more than a shiny medal or a hefty check to motivate the world's best athletes. Rather, high-performing athletes are motivated by the desire to beat their competition, crush their personal best, and prove to themselves their hard work wasn't for nothing. So, who has a strong sense of motivation and the ability and willingness to crush competition? Look no other than Bill Gates. And yes, this is Bill Gates during his antitrust deposition. Actually, you might want to watch the video. It's 6 hours, but it's pure comedy gold. Okay, so a story about Bill Gates. He went on a television interview. Now, the interview consisted of him and a guy named Gary Kildall, who's kind of forgotten now. But what they did is they were competitors and friends. They each produced an operating system for the PC. Obviously, Bill Gates did MS-DOS and Windows, and Gary did his own with DR-DOS and CRM. Now, what happened was, or CPM, I think it was called. So anyway, what happened was during the interview, Gary, they're friends. They're friends. Gary went to Bill Gates. He said, you know what? There can be two successful PC operating systems on the market. Bill Gates turned to Gary and said, no, there will only be one. That's all you need to know about Bill Gates. There will only be one. Oh, and by the way, Bill Gates was so strict on his own employees. He wanted his own employees to perform up to him. See, Bill Gates, he never took vacations. He worked all weekends. And he was so strict that every time somebody came to the office, in the early days when Microsoft was a startup in the 70s, he wrote down their license plate number. Every time they left, he wrote down their license plate number. He was their own personal check-in system. So that's how strict he was. So what's the next trait that you need, that we all need to be millionaires? Okay, it's the inner desire to succeed. An athlete's biggest competition is him or herself. Like the above personality trait, an inner desire to succeed drives the athlete to his or her best effort each and every time. No matter what it is that spurs on the drive, the roar of the crowd, the glint of the gold medal, the trip to the White House for the winners, the need to succeed must first come from within. So let me ask you, what is your need to succeed? Let me know in the comments, what drives you to success? What is your drive? What is your desire? What do you want out of life? So, NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, which we all know is successful, a $3 trillion company, 10x over the last year, by the way. Their stock has been doing great. So yeah, NVIDIA's Jensen Huang says he works 7 days a week. I work from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said that he works all 7 days a week, right after waking up at 5 to 6 a.m. And actually, if you continue reading this article, he also states that during the entire day, every day, he is either working or thinking about working. That's it. That is his life. And he says it's tough, but he loves his company. So that's the thing, is it's going to be hard, but you have to love what you do. You have to love, if you're investing, you have to love the companies that you're invested in, and you have to love just the end results, making money. You have to love making money. So the next one is natural goal setter. No beginning athlete is ready for the Olympics, the World Series, the Grand Prix, the Tour de France, or the Super Bowl. The athletes who get to the world-class events do so by setting realistic, achievable goals, then working hard to attain those goals one step at a time. For high-performing athletes, the ability to set and achieve goals tends to come naturally. The next one is self-discipline. There is a famous saying that goes something like, to become an overnight success, it takes 10 years of hard work. And boy, is that right. I mean, for us, you got to go through schooling. You have to ace schooling. You got to go to great colleges. Your whole life has built up to today. No one knows this truth better than the high-performing athlete. Early mornings, sore muscles, broken bones, sacrifices. The self-discipline that comes with putting the sport first is another distinguishable trait of high-performing athletes. Next is optimism. An intrinsic sense of optimism goes hand in hand with self-confidence and is yet another distinguishable personality trait of high-performing athletes. To be the best, an athlete must believe that he or she can beat the best and anything else that gets in the way. An athlete who doubts herself will never cross the finish line in front. So you gotta have that inner desire to be number one. Now, let me ask you, who do you think is endlessly optimistic? I bring you Elon Musk. So what Elon did is, after he sold PayPal, he had about a couple $100 million in the bank. What did he do with that couple $100 million? He bet on himself in this little space venture called SpaceX that was doomed to to failure. Who's going to be able to build a successful space company, a rocket company from nothing? It doesn't happen. It's never happened before. It has never happened before SpaceX. So in 2002, Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, or SpaceX, was born. They set up shop in Omelek Island in the Pacific Ocean and got to work. Musk invested $100 million of his personal fortune into the company, giving them enough money for 3 launches of what would become their Falcon Run rockets. But those 3 launches failed. Those three launches failed. Within days of the 3rd failure, Musk announced that he'd identified the problem and secured funding for one final attempt. So that final attempt was going to determine whether SpaceX would succeed or fail. Everything built on that one final attempt. And Elon was eternally optimistic that they would succeed. He was nervous, but optimistic. And on that final attempt, they were successful and reached orbit. And shortly after that, they got the contract with NASA. Here they are today. Here they are today, and they are huge. And they're going to save the astronauts, possibly, on the space station that Boeing left on the space station. Also, in February 2004, Musk invested $6.5 million into Tesla, which gave him an ownership stake and the role as the company's largest shareholder. This is the Series A round. So Elon was the first round funder for Tesla. So he put his money where his mouth is. Each venture, SpaceX and Tesla, according to Elon, had less than 10% chance of surviving. Less than 10%. And yet, he bet it all. He bet it all and he won. The next goal is to be a natural leader. High-performing athletes tend to be natural leaders on and off the field. Leaders are known for their focus, sense of motivation, and innate ability to bring out the best in both themselves and those around them. Traits shared with top-tiered athletes. Willingness to take criticism. No athlete makes it to the top on their own. Top-tier athletes understand the importance of remaining coachable, that is, taking criticism at every opportunity and learning from it. Now, I call this learning from your mistakes. It is very important to learn from your mistakes. Ability to manage stress. Stress has the power to debilitate just about anyone, but athletes have to deal with it on the daily. The stress of losing, the stress of injury, the stress of embarrassing themselves, their coaches, their families, the list never ends. High-performing athletes are unique in that they have the ability to manage their stress. Whether that ability comes naturally or has been learned over the years, these athletes are able to compartmentalize their worries and to focus on the task at hand. Next is a strong sense of focus. An athlete cannot find herself among the best unless she possesses a strong sense of focus. This focus allows the top athlete to remain in the moment, regardless of who is in the stands or what occurred that morning. It also means staying focused on achieving each goal as it comes, without ever forgetting the big picture. That's the important thing for you. Always remember the big picture. What you want to achieve. Resiliency and the ability to learn from setbacks. Loss is inevitable. Even the best athletes in the world have faced defeat in the world's biggest stages. It's resiliency that sets the good athletes apart from the great ones. The latter have the distinguishable personality trait to continue moving forward, regardless of whatever setbacks, learning experiences, they face. Perfectionism. In sports, as with anything else, perfectionism can be both a positive and a negative psychological trait. Doesn't this remind you of that Nike ad? True perfectionism is unattainable, so many athletes become overwhelmed by the idea that they are anything but. However, for high-performing athletes, it's more about the quest for perfection than the actual achievement. It's about the journey, not the destination. When properly harnessed, the strive for perfection leads to a mindset and ultimately unflappable consistency. Killer instinct. So, yeah, how many exciting wins have come down to a corner cut, a gutsy pass, a risk taken? High performing athletes have the killer instinct. Do you? They also have the courage to make tough, spur of the moment decisions that often mean the difference between winning and losing. Next is the willingness to fight. Top athletes are well known how important it is to fight to the end. Keep going, keep pushing. A final push of effort, even when the tank is empty, often separates the winners from the losers. High performing athletes have an innate sense of aggression and fight to ensure that they always cross the finish line first and having given their all. So that's the hard way to becoming a millionaire. What is the easy way to become a millionaire? The easy way to become a millionaire is just to join my Patreon. It's only $5 a month. $5 a month for my Patreon. That's the price of a Starbucks coffee. And guess what? You're going to be able to learn how to manage your portfolio. I have DCF valuations on I have over 15 companies I've valued on my Patreon. So you'll know what exactly I think those companies are worth today. So then you can figure out, are they undervalued or are they overvalued? Should you buy or should you sell? I also have in-depth corporate analyses on my Patreon of over 15 different companies. I have Tesla. I have Nvidia. I have AMD. I have Intel. I have Nike. I have all sorts of different stocks that I have in-depthly analyzed on Patreon. And these are reports. These are 10 to 20 page reports on these companies. So you can know exactly what they do and whether they're a great investment decision or a bad investment decision. So that is the easy way to become a millionaire. Oh, and by the way, you can also follow along my Patreon portfolio as I grow that portfolio from $0 to $1 million. You'll know every move I make, the second I make it, whether I'm buying, whether I'm selling, every move I make. Oh, and just as an aside, I'm a long-term investor, and you'll see that on my Patreon. So I buy and I hold. That's my general strategy. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Now we'll see you in the next one.